Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Leon from No More Lines. So today I want to share with you all something that I just figured out in Excel. I actually created a password generator where I can specify how many characters, and basically Excel will pick a random number between a total of 62 values. Those 62 values are where 10 of them are going to be numbers between 0 and 9, and the rest of the values are going to be the actual alphabet. The first 26 letters are uppercase and the last 26 are lowercase, for a total of 62 characters. And basically I've created a password function, a generator function, where I can specify the number of characters and the password, and then basically it'll pick a random number out of that list, and it'll just keep adding to it until it reaches the threshold. So for example, this one is a total of 5 characters, but if I change it to 20, you see that it'll basically update the actual password itself. So real quick, I'm gonna step through it and I'm gonna show you exactly what it's doing. So I'm going to do it again, and I'll make it 200 this time just to show. So you see here, the first part, it basically checks the actual variable itself, because that 200 is technically a variable that is passing. It's passing it across the function. In this case, there are instances where people are going to put in like weird stuff, like put in characters, put in certain strings. That first line basically says that if there's an error within the input itself, it defaults the actual string requirement to a total of 10 characters. That is not hard. That is hard coded, so you can change it wherever you want to. You can actually set that as a public variable as well, or even a constant, and you can actually still use it that way. But basically, first thing it does is that it checks to see if it's the right format. If it's not, it defaults it to a character count of 10. Then from here it says that if the input is not a number, or if it's 0, it basically will reset it as 10. So once I do that, then from here, I'm going to basically I'm going to create another variable, a blank variable. I'm going to make it blank. Then from here, I'm going to do a do loop, a do until loop. Basically, with this loop, I'll explain what it does. So len is the length of the character of the actual string itself. I set it as 0 first, and then I wanted to basically add in a new character every time until it reaches the actual length of 10 or whatever. Well, in this case, it's 200 because we set it as 200. So basically, it's going to go in. I have it to where in sheet 2, all like those, there are 62 characters. I set them in a range. Now, the reason why I did that is because you can actually add in additional characters to it as well. If you want to add in like special characters, add in like quotations, basically anything that is an acceptable password, you can add in those extra characters to it. And instead of having to worry about doing ASC and stuff like that, using different functions to figure out the character names, if you can basically set it into a list. And basically with this list, it basically assumes that the first row is the first character, and whatever is the ending of it, it assumes that it's a single table. Whatever the bottom is the last value. Then from here, there's a random function that I've created that basically it finds the value randomly here. So it's between 1 and 62. It picks a value and then it references the cell value in that sheet. So it basically will pick a random character out of the string. And then the last part is where it basically it'll take the actual character. And since it's within the loop, it basically will add to it. So here basically saying that if it's blank, whatever that character is, in this case the character is going to be S, it basically says it's blank and S. So our new password generator, or the one that is being created, it's actually S. So it's going to keep doing it over and over again until it actually reaches that goal of 200. So right now it's at 1. So if I just keep going through it, you can see that basically it'll just keep adding in characters to it. And then every time I run the function, same way it does in Excel, it'll create a new function, a new password every single time. So I'll do it for 15 real quick just to show you. Do 15, it does the same thing. And the first two lines that I showed you before, I'll show it to you one more time. Basically, it's where it has the error handling at the top, and it also has the error handling when it comes to it being a valid value, but it's not something that I want to use. It defaults it to a value of 10. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in a junk value. In this value is basically Excel has a hard time recognizing words, so it tries to default it to an actual formula or a reference. But if I'm not doing that, it'll throw an error message. But I've made it to where whenever that happens, it'll just default to a 10. So real quick, I'll step through it. So you see that I'll put DA, I can put whatever I want to put in here. The first part is the error handling, and you see that it's error 2029. What that error message is basically a type mismatch where the value itself is not in an expected format. So Excel is basically doesn't know how to handle it. And I also set it to where the variable itself is not a long. And what a long is that it's basically a number that has a certain number of a precision to it. It's a large number, a very large range. But basically, if you set it as a variant, it'll accept pretty much any value, whether it be text or number. But if you do it like this, again, the input that we do is DDRE. It just basically catches the error 29, and then it defaults to a value of 10 as a character requirement. So as you can see, it still will actually create the password. Now, if I were to set it up as a text, basically in parentheses, it'll do the same thing. It'll catch it. But see, this one here, it doesn't set it as 10 because it's actually in an expected value. The variant is the expected value. But see here, with the second one here, it basically says that if it's not a number, if it's false, or if it's 0, it basically will set it as 10. So it'll still fix itself regardless. So yeah, I guess let me know what you think about this. I think this is something that is pretty cool. Not sure if it has practical application to it, but I guess if you want to create you a little password generator, you're able to actually use it with this, and the code is pretty easy. It's not too difficult. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to link this particular example in the description box. I'm going to basically make this an Excel workbook that you can actually download and access, and you can kind of play around with it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Hey, thank you.